Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Mirko. I'm very excited to have you here today. Just waiting on our guests and another episode. Today is just a matter of, again, enjoying conversation with our guests, a matter of learning, a matter of sharing, a matter of enjoying just the process. So I'm glad that you're here. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. So if you're new, just welcome. My name is Mirko. And this is just episode 71 or 72, top of my head. We're gonna host an Italian coffee professional. He also was the Barista champion of Italy in 2016. So very exciting. Different time than usual. 3:30 p.m. in Australia, Melbourne. And we are just gonna go for it. And you always can drop your name down here. You can say hi. You can say hi to each other. You can share where you're from, or also ask questions to our guests. Unless, of course, you're listening to this as a podcast format, then it's no longer live. Yes, because if you missed out on the previous episodes, you can go on Spotify or your favorite podcast platform, and all the episodes are there, and you can just pretty much catch on all of them on your way to work, when you want to chill, when you go for a walk, whatever suits you. Hello, Andre Osconsult. Good to see you. Good to see you all here, and I hope that you really are doing fantastic. Angelo will join us real soon. I'm gonna send him an invite real quick so that we get as much as possible out of this conversation. And again, if you are new, just introduce yourself to the community, to each other, to me, because this is just a matter of talking, creating a space for the coffee community, and a place where we can learn, we can share, listen to someone else's stories that we can relate to. That's really what it is about. I think that in coffee, often we see such a tendency to sort of having a right and wrong. There's a trend of kind of pointing out the faults, but a lot of times we forget about the story behind a cup of coffee, the story behind a coffee roaster, the story behind a barista, the story behind the people who are all connected thanks to this amazing beverage. Like my friend right here, Dan Tamang, that we interviewed just a week or two ago. Good to see you, brother. So yeah, that's sort of where we're at. And once we are joined by Angelo, he'll be able to sort of answer any questions you have. I got my sets of questions, and we will have a bit of fun and hopefully entertain the people that are in lockdown, especially my good friends who are baristas and waiters or chefs or cafe owners who are unfortunately running into difficult times due to COVID-19 and the lockdown. But yeah, I think Angelo is having probably some troubles to connect because he was online messaging me, how do I join? And I said, well, I sent you an invite. So let me have a look if he's here. Oh, he is here. He sees the requests. Hopefully he can connect. We are waiting for Angelo. I've just sent him a request right now saying waiting for him. So once he accepts the request, he'll be able to join us. If you're listening, Angelo, just tune in. But he seems to be having some trouble, which is okay. These things happen. It's not the first time. If you're one of the loyal followers who's been here watching this show, you know that these things happen from time to time. Um, let's have a look if he can tune again. Here we go. Ah, here we go. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. How you doing, man?
Ciao, Angelo. It's good to see you. How are you?
You very good, very good. You?
Yeah, good. I really am, and I'm glad that you're here. And thanks for making your time to give us your time.
Me. I'm very good. I just got back from a little.
I can't hear you very well, but you're just back from.
Just hold on a second. Probably you have to invite again. I can hear your voice of the Just 1 second.
Not a problem. We're just gonna wait back until he connects again, maybe with some earphones. He's across the world. He's across the other side of the world, and you know, despite being in 2020, internet is still new, and I think that will just improve in the coming years. So thank you all for kind of hanging there patiently. We just gotta take it as it comes. It's always good to connect with people from home. I'm Italian myself, so it's always good to sort of have that connection, because Italy, as we're gonna talk with Angelo, is an interesting coffee market, and I'm always curious to hear from them. So far we spoke with Alberto from Tostato, Francesco Sanapo from Ditta Artigianale, and Rubens Cardelli from Cardelli's Coffee. And today we're going to talk with Angelo. So once he fixes his technical issues, we'll be able to just hear him out. If you just tuned in, we're just waiting on our guests, and once he joins us, we'll be able to kick things off. Just 7 minutes behind schedule, but what's 7 minutes in 60? Not much. But hello to everyone. Hi, Alex, and hi to everyone actually, you know, who are making the time to join and making the time to tune in. Leah, Nobile, and all of you.
Back.
All right, he's back.
Can you hear
a little bit? It's a little scratchy. Let's.
Okay. I'm looking for the headphone. Let's see if I found it. I think I've left it at the office.
That's okay. The closer you are to the phone, the better it is at the moment, which is good.
So you have to see my big face then.
That's okay. It's the unglamorous part of Instagram sometimes, but that's okay. We do what we gotta do. Angelo, again, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy, and it took us a little bit of, you know, to try to fit in with, you know, all the planning around time zone. First of all, how are you and your family? And, you know, after all the, still the current pandemic situation?
Well, luckily, I'm very good, and also my family. Where I am at the moment, I'm in south of Italy, where the virus didn't get too much. And actually, I just got back after 9 months when I wasn't with my family, because I got stuck where I am. I'm living 5 hours away from my home. So basically, I just got back yesterday from my little break, like a week, where I had to spend it with my family after like 8-9 months, and I wasn't seeing them. So actually, I'm very happy at the moment about this, basically. So
well, Ferragosto, after all. Yeah. Not many people know Ferragosto, but a week in August where Italy sort of stops.
Yes, it's true. Like, well, look, I don't really like this week because it's full everywhere. In fact, I decided to go to Montaigne, where there are not many people, and you know, it's more relaxing. I'm living basically, I'm born in the center of Italy. In Pescara is the name of the city. But and then we have a little house just an hour away from there in the mountain in a very little village. So I spend my holiday there hiking. That's it.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm
The,
not sure if you know about I'm from Trentino, so I'm sure you
well,
love my region when it comes to mountains.
of course, of course, of course. It's probably one of the best for hiking, and I do mountain biking, so there is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
miss
but
it.
even in Australia,
Hey,
there is amazing doing biking and hiking. So
yeah,
I
yeah, Australia's good. I'm lucky for sure. But I miss my Trentino. But look, without getting lost into homesickness affairs of mine, Angela, could you kindly tell us more about you and how you started your coffee journey?
well, I started like 16 years ago, more or less, where from my city I moved to UK for I went there because I'm coming from a very little city and job was what it was, and so I said, okay, let's go there and trying to learn English and see what happens. And there I started to work for a company which is like a very big company. It's called Cafe Nero. Probably many people knows this company. And there was the first time actually I started to make coffee. And obviously it's not like the specialty coffee and everything we know about this work, but it was a really good door, to get into this world. I love the before I was working for Mont Blanc. I don't know if you know Mont Blanc. So it was a very boring job because you see one customer every 2 days, probably then come and you have to speak throughout 2 hours without getting anything. And so when I got in touch with the coffee shops and I was like talking, we were serving probably in the first store that I worked about 18,000 customers a week. So it was like a completely different story. And I was like, oh, I love this. You're talking with many people and you're working with many people and it's a rush all the time. I was working in Piccadilly. I don't know if you know London. So it's like the center. And I was like, this is crazy. And I liked it. And then I stayed there for 5 years. I mean, I went there for 6 months and I stayed it 5 years. And I grow in the company. I was at the end managing the store. I had many people working with me, and I was enjoying this. And then I said, okay, I'm missing something. My uncle grew up in Australia, and I said, no, I want to go there. I always, wanted to see the place, the country, and it was a good time for me to live there. And I went to Sydney, and I lived then in Sydney for 3 years. But there, I actually realized the coffee part of the business because before that, in this company, London is a great city where you learn a lot about working and managing, relation with people and everything. But obviously, the coffee wasn't the main focus there. It's good coffee, good people, but it wasn't specialty, it wasn't anything like that. And then when I moved to Australia, I actually realized that in coffee, I was like, oh, there is a huge word behind this. And, I want to learn. And, happened something to me. I met a guy that this is very strange. I said, oh, you are not good in making coffee and you cannot make coffee. And I was like, no, this is not possible. So I started to study and do all my things. And I was staying 2 hours after my work, watching what they were doing, because I was realizing that, I had a lot to learn. And then after I started to work there, and slowly, I started to learn about a little bit more about coffee. obviously you never finish to learn. Hey, this is like this. And then after 3 years of that life, I moved back to Italy and I started to do training and consultancy for a roaster. And now I'm in the south of Italy working for this big roaster. And in January, we just opened a little, a little roaster where we do specialty. So slowly, we are getting into, this type of business as well. It's gonna take a long time more, but it's okay. We are not
It's
in the.
it's beautiful to hear such story because I feel I feel that many people just give for granted the places where they live. Like you went all the way from a small city like Pescara all the way to you're finding yourself in London where there's 18,000 people a week. I mean, my grandpa's village is 5,000 people, right, where he lives. So all of a sudden you got 18,000 people in a shop in a week. And from there you decided to go to Sydney, which is another quite big city. So, and I think it's great that you decided to be like, well, there's always something to learn in coffee. And then you became, even though you skipped that part, because I know, you're humble about it, but you also became Italian barista champion.
Yes, 4 years ago. Yeah, but it took me four championship before to win. It took me a long time and it's a process. But it was a very, very big emotion for me. I feel it a lot in that year, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, in the previous four, you had, 2013, Francesco Sanapo.
Yeah.
I believe he won it. Yeah, that's right. And from that moment, people think that winning is the arrival point, the destination, but it's actually quite the opposite, isn't it? It's more like that's really the starting point, because it's like it's not like, oh, I won, thank you very much, arrivederci, see you later. It's where the real stuff started, probably, for you.
I think so too. I believe you never stop learning. So it's the winning. It's a good achievement, that's for sure. But as you said, is only the beginning, because achieve something without give back anything is nothing at the end. So if you do not share what you learn and what is in your process to get there, it's like not doing anything at the end of the day, because it's something for you, but alone nothing. It's not useful. This is the thing at the end of the day.
Yes, especially when we talk about an industry like coffee, which is so entangled and connected with hospitality, hospitality is people. People is hospitality. Especially in the Italian culture, hospitality is something that we share at the table with guests. It's a big part of our culture, and many other cultures. So I think it's important to have that people element connected to it. And speaking of Italy, I haven't been back home in 2 years. How is the coffee scene as far as you see? Because obviously you're in it, and you've probably seen a little bit of what's happening around you and before coronavirus, at least.
Well, look, something is start to move. Probably because you heard, if you talk to other friend of us, from here, it's still very slow. Depends on where you are actually. Like if you are in the north of Italy, it's probably moving a little bit more faster than here. Still, specialty coffee represent 1%, like not even. But you know, we start to getting the noise. You know, this is how we're starting to work. And you know, I have a very opinion on this. Probably some of my friends are not agreeing with me, but you know, I'm always look. I lived overseas, and now I'm back in my hometown. You know, I'm back in Italy, and I see that there are a lot of difference between, you know, Australia or UK, North Europe, and Italy. We are very traditional place, and we have to appreciate this as well.
Mhm.
So for us, it's normal. Then it's gonna take a longer time, but that's because, you know, wherever we create a lot, you know,
Mhm.
a lot of things as born here, and a lot of things as you know, is getting in the process too. And
Yeah.
also even the mentality that many roasters, like a big roaster has, you know, is starting to change, but it's gonna take you know, time.
Yeah.
Now even big roaster at the moment are opening a specialty coffee line, even if they don't pushing a lot, you know, because it will never gonna be their own business, you know. At the end of the day, coffee quality is the first, but also is a business. This is how it works, you know. It's
Of
like
course.
it's like this. So it's gonna take a little bit more time, probably 10 years, if we are very lucky. But it's
Whatever
gonna make.
you've done, I can hear you much better now.
Ah, okay, perfect. Very good.
Perfect. Yeah,
So
10 years you were saying, yeah.
this is probably at the moment how is doing. You know, there are opening coffee shops, specialty coffee shop. There are some. Not every city has one, but slowly we're gonna, you know, open up our mind. You know, we're doing a lot of work, like training people and barista to understand that there is not only the espresso, and there is not only the espresso that they see every day, but still the espresso is what they're making money on.
Of
You know what
course.
I'm saying? You know, so at the end of the day, if you look at the person of the barista, owner of the bar that makes 99% of the espresso with the typical Italian blend, and has to pray or give for free at the beginning the specialty coffee just because he has to, you know, it's gonna take a process. And also the COVID didn't help these things at all, you know, because now, like for example, all the bars, the coffee shops that are working, and even if the best one are working on their 70%,
Yeah.
most of them, or some of them, not most of them, less than what I was expecting actually, are closing because of the procedure here. We did a lot of strong stuff, you know, during the COVID month. Probably we were one of the country that did the most, like locking down everything, and it was crazy, man. Like seriously, you waking up in the morning and you thought that you were like in a movie. I'm sure you probably, I mean, everyone can understand, but
Yeah.
here everyone were scared to stay 1 meter away from another person, you know, but it was very strange. Also, the media didn't help at all. You know, probably you see things that here was like a movie, seriously a movie. I remember I have a lot of friends around the world, and when was March, that here in Italy was big mess. Everyone, hey, are you okay? But how are the things? You know, you can breathe or you can go out, and it's like, well, we don't know. You know, the media told us no, but it's impossible, and it's gonna be like this. You know, this was the
And,
thing probably.
and it goes back to the tradition that you mentioned earlier, you know, media in general, but especially Italian media, are quite dramatic, uh, even around things like transfer markets. You know, like even around the calciomercato, they can be dramatic. Like even sport is dramatic, which is okay. I think that going back to the coffee more conversation, I was lucky to experience now who I call a friend, but I visited a couple of years ago, visited Tostato in Brescia, which is shop from Alberto. And what I really could grasp straight away is that despite his offering being specialty, the overall experience is not scary. In fact, the shop is in a like a L shape, the bar. So if someone is quite skeptical or quite they're still gonna get the Italian experience. The no the but then on the side there is a brew bar, there is AeroPresses and Chemex and Filter. There's a menu. So it's sort of playing on the fact that, look, we want to make sure that this is a space for everybody. And then eventually if someone asks the question, sure, we're going to say, we use this, we use that. So I think respecting tradition is important with some hints of innovation. And then, like you say, it's a slow burner. So it will take its time to sort of grow, develop, but it's for the best. Like sugar is not good for you. So I try telling this to my parents. It's like they have 6, 7 mocha per day, and they always say 1, 2, 3 sugars. I'm like, well, that's not really good for you. So maybe if you chose a coffee that it's not that bitter, your body also will actually have benefits out of it. So it's quite interesting.
Well, I know what you mean, because after all these years and I'm working in coffee, still every time I go home to my mom, I have to clean the mocha and make it for her, trying to make her understand. Look, it's this is something that I always tell. Now my dad is learning it. He's cleaning the mocha very precisely, my dad. So it's good. After 16 years, I achieved something at home, that's for sure. No, well, I understand. But the thing is, the reality is a little bit different, because, I do a lot of training. Before the COVID, I was doing probably around 200 to 400 people a year. Here we have a large base, customers base, and to do something like this, so to have a store, you need to get in contact, for example, with someone that do training and stuff before you actually call the architect. But when you don't know, then there is these things. You always get to the roster when you already have your project, you already have everything done. So it's actually very little people that knows this before they're doing this. So that is because the mentality is like this. The mentality is like they still, many people that open coffee shop at the moment are not people from this business. Are people that see the sparks from this business, as they say, I want to open this. You know what I'm saying? And
it's sad, but it's kind of funny, because this is a problem that we have even in Melbourne, the capital of coffee, they say it, but it's like this. It's like there is a romanticization of owning a coffee shop. It's quite a romantic idea. There's an emotional attachment. It sounds nice, I'm gonna have my own bar, coffee shop, and that's exactly like the same if I started electrician business. I struggle to change a light bulb, little alone running a business that requires repair without any training. So yes, I'm glad that you say that. So your job is to train people and make sure that they do a good job and they're prepared for it. And got us through the process. Like
my job here, I see it in a little bit different way. It's like, training people to how to make one espresso is not gonna take you long. So my idea of training is more like help them understand, and there is a big word behind this. But also, I want to show them that if they want to achieve this, they have to work hard and they have to study. So for me to train, like I do basic course. I don't do like a super difficult course. I never did anything like this. I would like it's gonna be hard also for me. Because teaching people they already know a lot of things is more about sharing knowledge. It's not
Mm.
anymore about teaching something because you are at the same level or even a little bit less. It's all about sharing something that you probably didn't read and I didn't read. So I learned something from you, you learn something from me. This is how I see things. But like when I have to teach people that don't know anything, so I prefer to show them that, this job is very difficult, but it's possible because if I do it, everyone can do it. But at the same time, they need to understand then there is a lot of work behind this and they have to, be ready for this. Otherwise, it's useless that you start these things because, it's going to be something like same as everything else.
It's not a passeggiata, it's not a stroll in the park.
No. No, because they have to understand this. It's important. It's important for us as a roaster. It's important for them as a business people. It's
And
important for the market.
I think the major driver really comes down to passion. And I'll tell you an example personally. When I was much younger, I'm still very young, but money was just right in front of me, right? So then you start listening, and you think the stock market, real estate, what was it, the cryptocurrency, and do this, do that. But really, it's difficult when you get into something and you know nothing.
Oh yeah.
Your failure rate is pretty much guaranteed. You might get lucky, might have a little bit of luck, but when you open a coffee shop, a restaurant, a plumbing business, a fruit and veg shop, you need this much at least of experience, hands-on experience or knowledge and passion, because otherwise, unless you have the crazy amount of money of the multi-million-dollar companies where they just hire people and they got the power, okay. But at the same time, I think, yeah, what you're saying is super true. And I think passion is one of those things, because if you're passionate, you're going to buy a book, you're going to read, you're going to share. And I think sharing is exactly what's been missing in coffee, in my opinion. For many years, we all kind of hold the cards next to the chest, I don't want to show you my cards, you keep yours, I don't, but that's what food didn't do. Food went with MasterChef, with the TV programs, and it's just like, hey, this is the recipe, go and cook. And then it developed a passion within households and people living in the non-professional world, and all of a sudden they're starting cooking because of the show. They're starting appreciating food because of the buzz. I think that sharing is essential to fuel the passion.
Yes, I believe so too. Sharing is very important. Probably in the coffee, this has a turning point, different from the food, you have many ingredients. And so even if I create a recipe and you want to create it at home, it's something that you can still make it. With coffee, it's a little bit more difficult, also for the taste. Because if I taste the coffee and I say, oh, has a flavor of flowers and fruity notes of melon, and then you are home and even if you do my same recipe, you will never gonna get, because the water is not gonna be at the same temperature, and then the grind size is gonna be so it's a little bit more complicated. but this is good also because, you can share this knowledge with the people. And as long as you let them know that, okay, you don't taste the melon, perfect. Well, what do you taste? And so this coffee tastes like kiwi. Okay, that's good. Go with that. It's
Oh
a
yeah,
little
I
it
agree.
should be like this. But we came through 100. Let's go back to 100 years. We go back where all the roasters were hiding their blends, not knowing that, even if I change 1% or a roast profile of one of these single origin, the flavor of the blend will change completely. Then we came back in the 90s, maybe 2000, where like Barista started working in a specialty. They were holding their recipe and they were not looking anymore at the customer, but they were looking at the coffee and the scales and how I have to do. This is the perfect coffee without even say good morning to the customer. We pass by all these kind of things at every level of the it's a process. That's why it's going to take us longer time to understand that we need the customer, so we need to say good morning. At the same time, we need a good quality coffee, so the roasters start to give, okay, this is the farmer, this is the altitude, this is the variety, and you have to do this, and it's going to take a little bit more time. Or like 10 years ago in America, what they were doing, they were roasting in the morning and using the same coffee in the afternoon, and it was crazy. I think sometimes we missing the ideas. We want to change, but we want to go so fast that we are going away from the quality, or sometimes it's like this. This is something that I don't want to talk too much about this, because after being Italian, I don't want to be unpolite, or I don't want to be like, I'm Italian, we are the best. I never been like this in my life, never want to do something like this. I know when the Italian doing shit stuff, and I know when the Italian doing good stuff, like, we inventing the coffee machine. So something good came out of us, something at least, we did some great stuff, but also we did some bad stuff. Like for example, we doing when you go to a coffee shop and a barista doesn't even know what type of coffee they use. We have bad and good things, but the thing is that we grow up in a culture where, like, think of our generation, me and you. You probably are a little bit younger than me, but more or less the same age. We grow up in Italy. Well, me, I don't know you, probably you too as well. Okay, so we grew up in Italy where everything has born here about coffee. So we didn't have to invent many things, because I didn't invent anything. I'm not sure about you, but I don't think we invent anything. So we grew up with our grandfather then create the coffee machine, create the barista role, create the espresso. And so we are like, okay, everything is done. And the other people, when got here, they see these things and they want to change, because obviously they want to take a piece of this market. Think of Starbucks. The concept has started here, but then they go back in US and they create this type of mega business that makes a lot of money and stuff like this, and good for them.
100%.
They had to they were angry. You know what I'm saying? They were angry of knowledge. They were angry of doing something. Our generation is not like this, unfortunately. Some, like, I don't know, Gardelli or some people like this, are very good because they are angry. They grow up with nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And they want to appear on this world with this, and they're doing, some of them, they doing good job. So that's why we it's gonna take time. We need people hungry of making good stuff, something that we are missing,
1,000%. And I'll touch base on what you said in a minute. Before, I need to ask you a ritual question. Halfway through, we're past the halfway of the show, but
Don't even know what time is it. Let me check because I need to go to work as well.
you still have 20 minutes.
Yes. Okay.
This is our out of the box question that we ask everybody. If you could, who would you like to have dinner with?
Sorry, what?
If you had the opportunity, who would you like to have dinner with? Anyone. It could be coffee related or non-coffee related. It could be a football player, it could be the president, whoever you want. It's your dinner.
Oh, wow. I'm not sure. I don't know, man. It's very, I mean, I never been asked this type of question. So probably something, well, but these people then I know as well that I cannot see or
No. Anyone. It could be a famous person, whoever you want. Alive, not alive, Giulio Cesare, whoever you want.
Well, probably Steve Jobs, probably.
Yeah, fickle.
Because even if was a very strange person, and from what I've seen and when I read about him, but it's probably someone that gives a lot of idea and has obviously lots of things that you can learn from. So probably him.
Good. It's just a little question that we ask everybody, but Andre just said, hungry of doing great stuff. That is well said. So recatching what you said, I agree with you. I think we're not hungry because it was served to us on a plate, right? Piatto servito. So I think Italy is such an interesting topic for me because, we have Vittorio Arduino, we have La Marzocco, we have Faema, we have Nuova Simonelli, this big, amazing coffee machine engineer, like Alacaz, Ferrari, Lamborghini, and then, something happens, something in the equation gets quite interesting where it's like, well, we've created all these amazing coffee machine grinders. I mean, La Marzocco here in Australia is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. I seen more when I came back to Italy 2 years ago. I have seen one La Marzocco, and it was in Brescia, and another specialty coffee shop not far from Tostato, and it was a PB. I was like, oh. So it's interesting because I think the future is bright if you have that curiosity and hunger that you were talking about.
Oh, for sure. I'm 100% with this. It's something that in our generation is very missing, and sometimes I feel very sad. I have also sometimes I do talk with young people like 20, 21, 25, 24 that wants to start to be a barista and stuff like this. And I see a really great potential. But when I talk about potential, I'm not talking about coffee making quality, okay? I'm talking about personality, good people, they hard work, that they want to achieve something, that they want to do something. And I meet most of them. Some is missing discipline. At the end of discipline, something that also is very important, I think. I did sports for all my life, and I did 10 years of gymnastics. So I grew up working, finish my school at 1, 2 o'clock I was in the gym until 8 o'clock for like 7 days a week for 10 years. So, I grew up with this kind of, if I have to achieve this, I have to work and I have to work and I have to do this and stuff. And the generation now is, some of them is missing because they have already everything.
Mm-mm.
But some of them are really good people. And when I see them, I like to work with them on the things that they're missing. So give them things that they have to, they need to learn how to make their plan.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm clear.
It makes sense.
They want to achieve something, but they don't know where the steps then they have to make.
And it's important that there's people like you, going back to sharing your storage and knowledge, to show them the path and to sort of take the hands. And it's so good to have. It's refreshing to hear what you're saying, because most people would actually do the opposite. They were like, don't worry about the new generations. That they're not good. But the young generation reality is that they have a whole set of different challenges that we didn't have, our parents didn't have, our grandparents didn't have. So we all live challenges given by the time in which we live and we grow up in, because there's always pros and cons of living in a certain time. Of course, if you were after the war, the positive is that everything there was such a need for things to happen, because everybody started from zero, right? So people could have caught into opportunities. Instead, you're born in a full explosion of economy. The good news is that probably the welfare and life level of standard of life is higher, but then it's more difficult to stand out. So it's like everything is a balance. So I think that having people like yourself taking their hands and say, hey, it's okay, let me show you this, let me show you how to write down a plan, it's super important. And it's refreshing to hear that. And I hope that I look at younger people, even when I was a teenager, it's like, people look at, unfortunately or fortunately, this is a double-edged, at the media, at social media, at TV. So all of a sudden it's like, I remember when Zara opened in Verona, and all my friends from Trento were going crazy, and they would drive an hour to go and shop at Zara, which is crazy, right? So same with Starbucks, people go to New York, and first thing you gotta do is just get a Starbucks, because that's what they drink in America. And that's where I hope the competition comes into place. People like Manuela winning the World Latte Art Champion last year, people like yourself, people like Francesco Zanapo, Rubens, or all these people. I hope that give them a bit more of excitement and drive as well, because that may be tick into their brain that's more than just a job to get for the summer season.
Well, yes, this is what we're working on. I can definitely say this, but we have to be more positive and carry on doing what we're doing. Basically, it's like we cannot jump on people and say, "Hey, you have to do this." No, we are working on this, and
piano piano.
Yes, we need to work on the personality. I sometimes, it's like the barista, has to be a little bit of a psychologist, a little bit of doctor. We have to do this in our levels, with people. And sometimes, seriously, sometimes when I see people, when they do a lot of things of training and they focus only in coffee, I see like, okay, yes, coffee is very important, but we have to work on people, because if we don't have the right set of mind of the people, we just doing a coffee course, and as soon as they go out of there, they cannot do anything. It's like, if I do, for example, I do a little example of this. I can't do like a a course where I teach people to weigh the volume of the cup. Because I know that most of the time, 99% of them go back to the bar, they don't even have one scale. Imagine if they have two scales. You know what I'm saying? So I prefer to show them how they have to work and with what they have, in order for them to not go back to the coffee shop and be like downfall because I did this in the training and now I cannot do it. I don't have money to buy a $300 scale or something like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. And it's context. It's all about context, and that's why coffee is beautiful as well as is not, in the sense of, you know, it's like what you were saying before, you know, coffee, it's so particularly unique. It's like about the water. This, not just the temperature, is what water runs through your tap. Do you have filtration? Are you using plant-based milk? What machine you have? Do you clean your machine? And it goes on and on and on and on. So it's about context. So for Italy, the number one thing is people. It's about giving a nice buongiorno and understand that it's important that the people is your priority, because without the people, you don't have a job. But also, what you really should be strong at is what we pride ourselves. One of our pride when we go overseas is like, hey, one of the things that we do well in Italy is hospitality. You come to my house, I keep feeding you, I'll give you the best bed, I'll give you the best spot, I'll give you the best meal, the best experience. There's a need to translate that. That's the good stuff that we have, right? So that's the foundation. We need to start from there. So let's remember where we come from, which is like a land of hospitality in the true sense of it. And then we can build from top of there. So, okay, well, now that you understand the people come first, okay, what's next? Let's work based on the context, not only in the country that you are, but now we go from macro to micro, right? So it's like country, your city, your coffee shop. Okay, you go Gaggia, you go La Marzocco, you go this machine. You don't have a pack press, you don't have a scale. Let's contextualize it, and then we work with what you have. It's fantastic what you do.
Yeah, this is well, thank you. This is for me is like the simple things. It's like my plan. You know, not mine. You know, I mean mine. I mean like all of us plan. You know, but it's like this. People, like, you know, all the business men today, the main company today are building their company in people that work for them or work with them. Is not anymore like 50 years ago where like I'm the owner and you work for me, that's all. Like this type of business are going down, and I'm really happy that this is happening.
Yeah.
You know, because it's important that now people has to understand that alone they don't go anywhere. They go there when like people love. You know, I learned something when you know, in England I've learned a lot of things, and like I was managing at the end, I managed 3 coffee shops. And when I was 24, I had a lot of people working with me, you know, and I've been the youngest manager in that company for like 6 months or 1 year, I don't remember. But you know, I was learning, and I learned something. I was very meticulous, you know, coming from gymnastic, and I've learned that it's impossible to be like this in the coffee shop, because always something wrong in, you know, and you can't be. But I've learned something that more people loves you, less they are gonna do bad stuff for you. The more they love you, the more they work well with you. This is something that I've learned there. And, you know, this is something that also I'm trying to transmit to the owner that comes to do the course over there. because this is something that mostly like here in south of Italy is lost. A lot of people is like in the front are, you are the best, and then when you turn your back, it's like the worst person ever. This is something that happens. But you have to work on the people for this.
Yeah.
New generation, maybe in 10 years they will open their own coffee shops. So if
Yeah.
you work well with them, in 10 years time you're gonna see your results.
Yeah. I love it.
Matter of investment in time for us, maybe not money but time.
Uh, yeah.
Value though, even more probably timing, but it's okay.
It's a slow burn. But thank you for what you just said, Angelo. Thank you for what you and many others are doing for the Italian coffee movement and industry. I know you need to go, so I'm not gonna hold you any longer. Uh,
No, it's
very,
okay.
very grateful.
Pleasure to meet you, man. For the first time we met, so very pleasure. And I like your Instagram. Something that I have to thank the lockdown for something, because I'm starting to. I saw your video and I like them.
Thank you.
Me too. I'm starting to study how to make videos and stuff.
Still, yeah.
In the lockdown, I had many hours for me, so I was doing the same. It's good.
And maybe we can catch up again another time in a couple of months. Maybe we can catch up at your work. So maybe we can do a little session. Maybe you can. You know what? I just got an idea. Let's just make the perfect mocha pot live stream.
Yeah, we can do it.
There you go. Or something like that, or talk about something else. And I appreciate your time.
We can work on something for sure.
Yeah, so any ideas you get, I'm happy to run with them. But yeah, until then, thank you. I really appreciate it. It was so nice to meet you. I can't wait to come back to Italy. And when I come back to Italy, I have a lot of people to go visit because now I met them virtually. So yeah, I look forward.
Okay, all right.
I look forward for a coffee Italian tour back home. But thank you. Ciao and buona giornata for you.
Ciao, 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 ciao.
Ciao, ciao, Bella, ciao. There you have it, guys. It's always special for me to talk with someone from my country. Just because, as much as I love Melbourne, as much as I love where I live, it's still my roots. It's still where I grew up for 20 plus years. It's the attachment is just strong. So I do plan eventually one day to move back there and make a base and maybe do back and forth with Australia. And so it's always nice talking to people from my country. Not because I'm biased and I don't think that we're the best, but it's always nice because I know how hard it is in Italy. I know how hard it is to be just a barista. I know how hard it is for the specialty coffee in Italy to make themselves feel like validated and heard. And like I said, there's amazing Italian coffee professionals, from manufacturers, from coffee machinery, from baristas, trainers, roasters, and they deserve the space that everybody else's deserve. And so I'm glad that we can give a little bit of space, a little bit of clout with this podcast. So thank you again for tuning in. My Instagram has been crazy. It's a silly platform. I love it and I hate it. There's a lot of conflict within the platform. There's a lot of glitches, a lot of annoying stuff, but it's okay, like I always say. But yeah, look, thanks for tuning in. If you're new, I would really appreciate if you share this. If you listen this, it's going to be amazing if you tell one friend, hey, this is a podcast. It's on Spotify. Check it out. It's about coffee and people and life and values. And check out our previous episodes if you're new. IGTV, YouTube, or any major podcast platforms. Until then, big shout out to who's still here. Oh, my man, David. I didn't know you were here, David. Tanti, I haven't heard from you, but I know you're well. I hope you're well. Andre, Andre, Honorio, Keith, big shout out to you. Thank you. It means the world to me that you're still here, and sending you all love, positivity, happiness, health, and I'm very grateful for all of you. Take care.